This is perfect for the Miami Heat. In the offseason, up to this point, this Miami Heat team has been linked to various big names, including Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Kawhi Leonard, as well as various others. But I'm here to tell you the best fit and the best option for this Miami Heat team this offseason, not only for next year's success, but for years down the line. Donovan Mitchell, an Eastern Conference rival currently with the Cleveland Cavaliers, is by far and away the best option available for this Heat team. I'm here to break down a series of different quotes and also a bit of context in how this move could actually happen and whether or not it would be a great move for this Miami Heat team. We'll break down all of that on this episode of Heat Digest. But first, before we get to the news and information, please do remember, scroll down and smash that subscribe button. Help us get to 4,000 subscribers. Again, we do appreciate all the love and support, so thank you guys. But now, let's not waste any more time and get right to it, breaking down this brand new information. And we're going to start with Jake Fisher, someone we cite on this channel a whole lot, and he goes on to say, quote, "If the Cavs end up losing, what's going to happen with Donovan Mitchell? If he declines the extension with Cleveland, they almost have to look at trading Donovan, and Miami is very much going to be looking at acquiring him." Now, it's the end of the quote from Jake Fisher, a very credible source covering the game of professional basketball. And this isn't the first time we've seen Donovan Mitchell being linked to the Miami Heat. And if you go back years, you saw Donovan Mitchell playing at the Miami Pro-Am where he was teammates with Bam Adebayo, where a relationship was really forged. And it really has become more than just associates or peers that play in the same professional league. These guys actually come off as good friends. They come off as buddies on and off of the court. And what better mix and what better fit would you rather have than Donovan Mitchell at the guard position or even a forward, depending on how small of a lineup you're running, paired next to Bam Adebayo? Not only do they come off as friends, and it's always good to have friends on your team, it's easier to get along with them and play a professional game with them, but the defensive caliber that this team would be able to withhold and present to any team on the opposing side would be terrifying. Just imagine. Yes, it wouldn't, or no, it would not just be Tyler Hero for Donovan Mitchell straight up. We'll get into the actual trade package that it would require to go out and acquire Mitchell in just a second. But do take into the idea that Donovan Mitchell would be replacing Tyler Hero in the starting lineup, in that starting shooting guard role, where Donovan Mitchell could be the dominant force on the offensive end while being extremely respectable on the defensive end. A huge, and I mean a huge step up from what we've grown accustomed to seeing from someone in Tyler Hero at that guard position. I think Donovan Mitchell might be the best fit for the Miami Heat this offseason over players like Giannis Antetokounmpo, over guys like Kawhi Leonard. If you want to argue about Kevin Durant or Kawhi for that matter, I am not going to push back all that much because the price tag it would require to go out and acquire either of those players compared to someone like a Giannis Antetokounmpo would be extremely more favorable for this Heat organization without a shadow of a doubt. Donovan Mitchell is not going to be as cheap in a trade package that a Kevin Durant or a Kawhi Leonard would be, but he would also be giving you a bit more youth compared to those players, as what Mitchell is now 28 or 29 years of age. No, I'm sorry, he's 30. He's 30 years of age. Next year, he'll be in his age 31 season. And what does that look like? Well, going into next year, he'll be in the final year of his contract outside of that player option he does have. So he has 2 years remaining if he opts into that player deal in 2027, 2028, which will be interesting. And the price tag is just around the Kawhi Leonard price tag at $50.1 million. He's making $100,000 more than Kawhi Leonard. Also, he is younger. You have to take that into account. And then you have that player option deal. I'm sorry, the font is small on my screen at 53.4, I believe, or 53.8. So you'd have him for that final year, that second of this 2-year deal at $53.8 million for Donovan Mitchell. So what would the trade package actually look like? Well, first, before we get to that, let's break this quote down from Michael Sanza, I apologize for mispronouncing it. He goes on to say, before Mitchell was ultimately traded to the Cavs in 2022, the Miami Heat pursued the superstar guard. In the end, Miami didn't have enough to meet the Jazz's asking price. However, if Mitchell is open to a fresh start or wants to play out of his contract without signing an extension, it could spark a perfect storm for the Heat again. Going on to say, quote, in many ways, Mitchell has been a player who's consistently been on the Heat's radar. After missing out on Mitchell in 2022, 2, the Heat may finally get another shot at their previous pipe dream trades target. And that's, again, the end of the second quote. That one from Michael Sanza in an article that he published just a few days ago, talking about and discussing Donovan Mitchell and whether or not things are actually going to have a chance to see him move and get out of Cleveland. We know how this contract situation is breaking down. We just highlighted it. He's going into the final year of his deal. Next year will be in 2 years, he will have that player option for a Cleveland Cavalier team, an organization that is pretty well built up to this point, is looking to make a run at an NBA championship if they do fall short. And say Donovan Mitchell doesn't have a 39-point second half like he did in his most recent game against the Detroit Pistons. Yes, he had 43, 5, and 2 with 1 steal, shooting 13 of 26 from the field, which is 50%, and he hit 13 out of his 15 free throws, only turned the ball over once, only had 1 personal foul in 37 minutes of playing time in a big playoff game, a playoff game that was very close coming into the second half. And then Donovan Mitchell, and the Donovan Mitchell show began, where he again had 39 of his 43 points in the second half. Specifically, he was on fire, and he understood, I'm the guy on Cleveland, and I'm not going to let, yes, James Harden had a very hot hand to start this game, and he was able to hold us over and keep us in a competitive game until the second half. But now it's my turn. I have to step up, and I have to show up and show out, and that's exactly what he did. And could you imagine what this would look like in Miami if you had a Devion Mitchell next to a Donovan Mitchell, following a Norman Powell, a Bam Adebayo, and possibly even a Kel'el Ware, depending on how big of a how big of a trade package you'd have to give up to Cleveland. That starting 5 defensively might be the best defensive team in the last 10 years. And you might be saying, Houston, get the hell out of here. Bam Adebayo is a top defensive player in the league year after year, has been ever since he was drafted. Then you have Donovan Mitchell, who is an elite guard on both sides of the floor, but defensively, being 6'3", having the ability to move laterally, being athletic enough to defend anyone at any point on the floor. Pairing him next to a very good complementary guard who's defensive-minded first, and Devion Mitchell. And then you have guys who, yes, Norman Powell's not a great defender, but he can definitely look good playing next to someone like Donovan Mitchell, Devion Mitchell. And then you have Bam Adebayo and Kel'el Ware anchoring the backside of that defense. That is a terrifying starting 5, defensively specifically, with great offensive upside with Donovan Mitchell there playing next to Bam Adebayo, and obviously Kel'el Ware, who continues to progress year after year as he's only played in the NBA for 2 seasons. So now, the Heat versus haters on Twitter. This is a Bleacher Report mock trade bringing Donovan Mitchell to the Miami Heat. So I'm going to break it down. We're going to go through each player that'd be going to Cleveland in this transaction. Then we'll get to Donovan Mitchell's actual statistical production from this past season. But just let me know down in the comments, what are your thoughts and opinions on this trade and the package Miami would be giving up? Do you think it's too much? Do you think it's perfect? Do you think it's acceptable? And there is a difference there from it being perfect and it being acceptable, because if it's right on the line of, I feel like we're giving up too much, but I also would love to see Donovan Mitchell in a Heat jersey, I think the benefit would be much higher than the risk of giving up these players. Please let me know your comments down below. I want to hear it. I want to see what you guys are feeling, because right now, I truly, wholeheartedly believe this is the best option for the Miami Heat this offseason over players like Giannis Antetokounmpo when it comes down to a possible trade scenario, and a blockbuster one at that. So the Bleacher Report mock trade breaks it down to being Donovan Mitchell going to the Miami Heat, the lone asset going to the Miami Heat. And then in exchange, the Cleveland Cavaliers would receive Tyler Hero, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Kasparas Jakučionis, the number 13th overall pick in this year's draft, and a 2032 first-round pick. 5 assets going to Cleveland in exchange for 1 in Donovan Mitchell. Honestly, I don't want to see Jaquez go anywhere. I'm a big fan of his, but if this is the trade that can get Donovan Mitchell to Miami, I absolutely love it. And I understand you're giving up the 13th overall pick as well as another first rounder, and you're giving up 3 younger assets that could be the face of a franchise going in for the next, 2 years, 3 years. Absolutely. But is it worth it? I absolutely wholeheartedly believe Donovan Mitchell would be the best option, especially if this is the trade that could get it done. You're giving up someone in Kasparas who really just killed everyone with the three-point shot, but didn't play a lot of minutes, didn't prove that he's going to be a star guard in this league. Could he end up being a very good complementary guy, a guy that's coming off the bench, giving you secondary minutes at the point guard position, or shooting guard position for that matter? Without a doubt. But is Jaime Jaquez Jr. ever going to take a step higher than the 14 or 14 to 16 points and 6 and 4 assists, 6 rebounds, 4 assists that you're getting from him now. I'm not 100% sure. Now, could he be a really good piece on really any team? Without a doubt. But is he going to be the star? Is he going to be a premier all-star? Probably not. Is it time to sell high with him coming out of a season where he ranked second in most improved player and where he was able to go out there and really showcases all of his abilities? We know Tyler Hero. We all know how Heat Nation feels about him. They want to see him out of Miami. They want to get off of that contract. They want to get as many goods or the best good possible in a trade that he is packaged in. And you can't really blame anyone for that matter. They've seen it. They're over the idea and over the entire situation dealing with Tyler Hero. And then for Kasparas, the overall point production, the assist, and everything else, the numbers are way down. Why is that? Well, he only played 17 minutes a game, and really that's not telling the whole story because he didn't play a whole lot. He played in 53 games this year, but you look at the three-point percentage shooting at 47%, or excuse me, 42.5%. Really, really good stuff, especially from a youngster who's going to have a lot of time to continue to grow and develop in this league. I know they're giving up the 13th pick, plus 3 good players, as well as another draft pick in 2032. But for Donovan Mitchell, someone who we see perform in the playoffs, someone that's been linked to this Heat team, that's good friends with Bam Adebayo, why not have 2 premier all-star level players? We've seen it in the past. When Miami goes out and they spend money and they go out and get these big name marquee players, whether it's LeBron, Chris Bosh, or whoever it may be, Jimmy Butler, things work out. They might not win championships every time, but you make legitimate runs in the Eastern Conference. And getting Donovan Mitchell will put you right back in that conversation, and he'll be extension eligible. You could go out there and extend him. You could get him into one more year and then extend him. You don't have to extend him the second he gets into your organization, which again wouldn't be a problem either. But you have time to make this trade. You can make the trade and then extend him later in time. You don't have to do it immediately. And Donovan Mitchell in a Miami Heat jersey would go a long way, and I think it would be good for this Miami Heat team. Not only the friendship of Bam Adebayo and Donovan Mitchell, but the overall competitive integrity of this Miami Heat organization. Let me know down below again, what are your thoughts and opinions on this idea, as well as the mock trade we broke down from Bleacher Report, and I will see you guys on the next episode of Heat Digest.